Good evening, good evening. This is Dominance Academy, and I'm your host, Mr. Justin. And we've got a good show lined up for you tonight. 10 tips on how to drive your woman wild.
Welcome to the Dominance Academy, where we specialize in revitalizing manhood and leadership. Our approach focuses on developing men to lead with strength and passion, enriching their lives and their families. We provide practical solutions and expert guidance in the realms of sexual education and the mysteries behind polarity and structured power dynamics. Join us at thedominanceacademy.com and restore harmony to your home while rediscovering the joy of a fulfilling masculine presence. It's time to step into your role as a leader and as a man. And now the host of the show, Mr. Justin.
What's going on? Please bear with me this evening. I am still recovering from being sick. The worst of it is over. However, the worst of it is over, but you can probably still hear it in my voice. I'm very, nasally because I'm still a little bit stuffed up. So yeah, it's funny, we're having a show about sex, and one of my clients just messaged me, and you guys don't think this sort of shit happens. So I took a screenshot of this, right? Oh, it's reversed, but he's like, hello. And he says, hello, Bree, you seem interesting. When are you free to get together for coffee? Because he doesn't drink alcohol. She says, I'm not looking for coffee, just sex. Right there. She said SX. We would meet for coffee and feel each other out. If the sexual interest is there, then I will make a plan for us to have a sexual rendezvous. And she's like, maybe. You free Friday? It's just funny, like how guys will think like, no, this shit doesn't happen. Women don't proposition men for sex. Of course they do. Of course they do when they're feeling it. My guess is that she's probably older. I haven't seen any pictures, but like women who are like 38 plus, like 38, the age of 38 and older, they go through a huge hormonal shift, and they get extremely horny. I think they get like a boost in testosterone at that age, and testosterone is the sex drive. So the higher someone's testosterone is, whether they are male or female, you'll have a higher sex drive. So yeah, this episode is going to be about 10 tips to drive a woman wild. And I'm going to start off with a disclaimer. Disclaimer here, all right? Let me just mute this. All right, the disclaimer is that some of this stuff might be a little bit risque, all right? And in no form or fashion am I condoning that you do these things. This is not prescriptive. This is only something that I've experienced in my own life and things that have been told by women. I'm in no way, shape, or form telling you fellas to do these sort of things, all right? This show is for entertainment purposes only. But I also have a legal disclaimer on the about page of my show. So with that said, let's get into some of the stuff around these 10 things that drive women crazy, and it's some of it is what you'd think. Some of it's what you'd think, and understand that all of it is emotionally driven. All of it is emotionally driven. What's up, guys? King Solo Power, I see you. Uncle Guns, respect to you. All right. Yeah, man. That's a fact. I get a lot of 30-year-old wanting to have fun, no judgments. Yeah, it's like when I think also their sense of ego gets lowered. I think or in a sense of like visual insecurity. I think just as a woman gets older, they just get more comfortable in their skin. They get more comfortable with their sexual desires, the things that they enjoy, things they don't enjoy, and they're just more upfront about what they like, what they want, and they don't like to waste time. They don't like to goof around. That's part of the dilemma that they're after, because young guys will have all the energy, but they're dumb and they play stupid games. And the older guys, they don't play games, but they're lacking in energy and can't keep up with a woman whose sex drive has just turned on again. All right. So anyway, so yeah, these are 10 things that drive a woman wild. And while some of them may be physical, what they all do is tap into a certain aspect of her emotions. And this is what's most important to understand, that the things that drive women wild go to her emotions. They go into her emotional core. Now, the shape of the emotional core, or the layers that are on the outside of it, let's look at it that way. They can all be a little bit different. Okay, so like not every woman's going to have a praise kink, for example. All right, not every woman's going to have a degradation kink. Not every woman is going to want to be treated like a little girl. Not every woman is going to want to be restrained. Okay, there's a lot of different shapes to it, but understand, like, no matter what shape it takes, it's all there to generate a certain emotion. Okay, and I think the most basic underlying factor is that the man is in control, and he's not swayed or changed or manipulated or pushed around or moved by her. Like, he's moving regardless of what she's doing. All right. Now, I'm not talking about forcing yourself upon a woman. This is more of an energetic thing. It's like it's a mental, emotional thing that I'm getting at. I'm at the age where women my age are getting divorced after their kids get married and their husband buys a Corvette and the women want to have fun they never got to have. Yeah. And like, I'm ashamed to say it, but some of the most fun, like sexually fun women you could ever get with are married women. They want to let loose. They've been married for 7 to 10 years and they've got just all this pent up shit inside them, and they just want to rip. But I'm not advocating that you guys go for married women. I'm just saying they're extremely exciting. So, all right, let's get into the first one. All right. And that is, all right. Oh, let me say this other thing. This is mostly for when you have your woman. Okay. It best pertains to a woman that you've been with for a while. And the reason being is that a lot of these things require trust. Now, is it possible to express some of these things in like a reduced fashion if she's not your woman? And I would say yes, for the most part, as long as there's like a fair amount of communication involved. But typically this is for like your girlfriend or your wife or something along those lines. Long-term arrangement where there is an element of trust there. All right. So the first one here is expressing your raw lust for her. Okay. And what this is just this, and it doesn't even have to show itself in physical form. I mean, although that's the most obvious, but it's something that can appear in a gaze. Okay. And it's like kind of fun to do because, and fellas, if you know what I'm talking about, it's like this little switch you can tweak in your eyes. And I know just by looking at my woman, I can tweak that dial and it shifts it into that carnal desire. And it just goes through my eyes and she can feel that. And it's funny because then it like disrupts her speech. It disrupts her thinking, and she can't remember what she was saying in that moment. And she kind of like gets annoyed with me. And, so then there's this like little bit of banter, poking fun or whatever. But it can also be expressed not only just in your eyes, but of course also in your physical interaction with her. And And she wants to feel this. She wants to feel your raw desire. Okay. And you see this in movies, right? It's that passion, right? Where the two people are like coming back from being out, and it's like the minute the door closes, they're slammed up against the walls and tearing off each other's clothes. Women want to feel this, okay? And this feeling of being wanted that much, it counteracts a lot of the negative self-speak that they have inside them. Okay. So there's a lot of self pushing away that women do for many, many years, a lot of times throughout the day. All right. Or throughout the week or what have you. And of course there's some days better than others, but the point is that there's a lot of insecurity. So when someone comes in with this very, very strong primal desire for her, it makes her feel deeply wanted. And that wanting sort of validates away from a lot of her doubts about herself. And this turns her on. Okay. Now, I'm not saying to go out there and just be validating women in this, in any kind of way and think that that's what this does. It has to be from this like very carnal, sexual, primal level. Okay. That you want to devour her. All right. So it's very important from that level. I'm not talking about other kinds of validation, because that validation, like I've said before, that needs to be earned. Okay. And even this has to be earned. This is why I'm saying that this mostly applies to when you're in a relationship or you're married. You've got your woman, your main, and this is where you can express yourself. Okay. All right. So the next one is feeling your physical force. Okay. I don't care what women will say in social media or whatever. Women like strong men. They don't like, I mean, you don't have to be this like hulking, roided out, veins pulsating, striations dude. That's not what that means. Okay. So don't go thinking that you have to become some power lifter or a bodybuilder. Just be strong, be physically strong. Okay. Like just, they want to be able to feel your strength, your physical strength in a number of ways. Okay. Like in a very simple way. I know you've been, like say on top of a woman in missionary, and your hands are on the bed, right? Or the couch or the floor or whatever. And your elbows are straight. So you're kind of like in a push-up position, so to speak, or at least from like the chest up. All right. And you notice that like she'll put her hands on your arms. Like she'll like reach up and like hold both of your arms and like feel them and caress them, because the hardness from your muscles being flexed just by holding your body up, that hardness turns her on. Okay. Because that is the opposite of her. All right. She wants to feel the density of you. All right. And I'm sorry to say, but like super chunky chunk and being like a twig, they don't have that density. All right. I guess being like, a big chunky dude is better than being a twig, but, because that's density. But, it's like knowing that you're strong, that you have strength behind what she can see. Right. And so she can feel it. Like when she touches your body, she wants to be able to feel like you can just grab her and move her around. Okay. Like in the bed, being able to just pick her up and flip her around. Now, if you're one of those guys who likes big women, God bless you. I'm not into having herniated discs. So, all the power to you. I'm sure maybe you've learned like leverage points or some shit like that, but I don't fuck with it. Oh, I am not into big women. But anyways, no shade to you guys who are into big women. But she wants to be able to feel your physical strength, your ability to toss her around, okay? And this can lead into manhandling, all right? This can lead into like even simple things as like pinning her arms to the bed, all right? and her like literally not being able to pull her arms away. Okay. Now this is where the trust comes in. This is where the trust come. Well, it'll come in many parts, but in this one, the trust, like that it's like synthesized fear. Okay. Like she knows deep down that you don't have ill will to her, that she's not really in danger, but it's sort of like this synthesized type of fear. They're like, oh no, like if he were to snap, there would be nothing that I could do. Okay. But like underneath that, she knows like, oh, but he's not going to. And this is all like millisecond type thoughts. All right. But that emotion is there. And the emotion that she's thinking, oh my God, this man can overpower me. And it's in the small ways that she can feel this, where you can like grab her hips and like yank her and flip her around and just basically spin her and do whatever you like, with minimal effort. Okay. And the same is like out of the bed as well. All right. Is being able to just move her around, right? Where you're sitting there and you just grab her and pull her down onto your lap. All right. These sort of things, it produces a very, very strong emotion in her. Okay. So the next one here, number 3, this isn't physical, it's verbal. Okay. And this is teasing. All right. Teasing and messing with her insecurities. Okay. And like not in like a weight that's actually meaning to cause harm, but it's a teasing. It's using banter, using your wit, and poking fun at her. Okay. And this like almost in the way that like a big brother would. And this produces another feeling. Okay. And all of these, the way they're linked is they're linked in different ways of making her feel small. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's part nature or it's part conditioned through culture or what have you. But I don't know any women who don't want to feel small around their men. And I'm almost saying not small in a bad way, okay? But yes, in a bad way. And we'll get to that, all right? But not in a really bad way. So yeah, the teasing, like that lighthearted teasing, like just non-sexually, okay? You're not having sex, you're just like hanging out together and you're teasing her like either in your home or you're out and about or whatever. This makes her feel small in a certain way. Kind of like what I said, like how a big brother would tease his little sister. And, of course, this is in no way to be like incest or anything like that. But it's a certain feeling that they really enjoy. And I don't know why. I don't know why it's there, but I've not come across a woman who doesn't like to be teased. Like where they're that fucking serious, got a huge stick up their ass. And if they do, you can try to loosen it up or you can just walk. Like really, it's not that big of a deal. But, while we're on the subject of feeling small, the next one is through praise. Okay. So this can show up like if you have like nicknames and things like that, or if you're in a dynamic that's like a DDLG, like a daddy dom little girl dynamic, and it's using certain phrases, like calling her like baby girl or a little one or a kitten, or there's all sorts of like little nicknames that are common, right? And it's like all of these little nicknames make her feel smaller. They make her feel more adolescent or more naive or more innocent or something along those lines. Just the general feeling, if you could just mix all those words up and come up with a feeling, that's what they like. It gives them the tingles, okay? And giving praise is another way of producing that feeling, okay? But from the position of bringing her to the place of feeling smaller. And this definitely turns them on. It's like gives them like flutters, right? In different parts of their body, like not just like between their legs. Okay. And so, try to incorporate this sort of stuff like with your woman. And because what this does, right, when you start like speaking in this way, is it sets up like your verbiage, it sets up a power differential. Okay, because it's like she's no longer, whatever her name is, Jennifer, right? She's now kitten. Like, what are kittens? They're tiny, they're small, furry, cute. Like, you could just stuff them in your pocket. They're a non-threat. Like just whatever. You like push them over with 2 fingers. This is kind of what you're seeing, right? What you're doing with her, right? And of course, it's like if you're just kind of getting into this sort of stuff, you can test out the waters and just sort of, try out different phrases and see what turns her on, or you can just have a conversation. That's kind of dry, but frankly, if you're into, any kind of this like kink lifestyle stuff, a lot of these dry conversations are had anyways, where they really get into specifics and have like very frank conversations of like what's good and what's not. But at any rate, so making her feel small through praise and teasing and through teasing. The next one is erotic scene talk and dirty talk. Okay. Now I know everybody knows about dirty talk and things of that nature, but scene talk is a little bit different. Okay. So imagine you're making out with your woman and, you're into like foreplay. You haven't actually started having any kind of intercourse. And you're having foreplay, and then you start describing her a scene or a fantasy, right? And then you say like, while you're kissing or something, you stop, or you're like playing with her with your hands, and you say, oh, this reminds me of the time when, or this reminds me of a fantasy when and then you just start going off into this, I would say like a short fantasy. You don't want to drag on and on and on, but like a short fantasy. This will then transport her mind and emotionally bring her to that place. And this will further intensify her feelings, further intensify her arousal. Okay. And so at any time that you have the ability to tell like a sexual story in the form of a fantasy, go for it. Whether it doesn't, and it really doesn't matter the context, right? Especially if you've got like good sexual chemistry, you could be like, hey, I had an idea for a fantasy, and you could like talk to her about it while she's at work, or, again, like while you're messing around, while you're driving or whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay. Because whenever you start like talking about these sort of things, especially if you're using good descriptive words. Okay. So, I harp on this, like reading, say, romance novels, erotic literature, Harlequin books, whatever. Get used to using a lot of adjectives, okay, and drag things out, okay? Don't just jump like right to the sexual stuff, okay? It's about dragging things out and stretching out and bringing about anticipation, okay? That's the most powerful key in storytelling. Is anticipation, especially erotic literature. Okay. So, again, using erotic scenes and storytelling, and just short ones, like during foreplay, while you're making out, use this. All right. And then of course, dirty talk, like I'm sure like everybody knows about dirty talk. But something that I would suggest for your dirty talk is mixing. Okay, so by mixing, what I mean is switching up contexts, and I don't know how to describe it, but like, say, instead of saying like filthy whore, okay, you could say filthy princess, right? So like mixing the good and the bad, so to speak. Okay, or you can do this with your physical behaviors that are opposite of your words. So you could be doing, say, something somewhat degrading, but then using very affirming praise type of dirty talk or like clean talk or whatever, you know? So your physical actions are very degrading, but you're using very nice words, okay, and very affirming words, all right, telling her to say how beautiful she is and she's such a good little girl and she's such a good princess or whatever. But all the while, the things that you're doing are completely nasty, okay? Or the opposite, where you're doing something very nice and say very sensual and romantic, but your words are completely degrading, okay? And so there's a lot of different options. So yeah, incorporate dirty talk like before, like during foreplay, during, absolutely. All right. A lot of guys, I mean, I don't know how people are, but I get the impression that men are too quiet. They're too quiet while they're making out. They're too quiet during foreplay. They're too quiet during sex. And I know this because of what I hear women say. And like women say men are too quiet. And that doesn't mean be louder. It just means be more vocal. Okay. So if they're saying it, then chances are that you guys are not utilizing dirty talk enough. All right. But that also includes like clean talk. All right. So the next one here, number 6, I believe, which is degradation. All right. Now, again, you know, guys, YouTube, relax. This is not prescriptive, but there are a lot of women who get off on some form of degradation. Okay, be it verbal degradation or physical degradation. All right. Now, again, like I said, this is with the caveat that there's an element of trust between the two of you. Okay, that she knows that you really don't mean it when you call her a fucking dumb little cocksleeve. Okay, she knows you don't mean it. You can say it as realistic as possible, but she knows underneath that you don't truly care in that way. Okay, you really give a shit about her in some degree. So that's why I say like it's best if there's a certain element of trust or at least an understanding. Okay, because you can get with like experienced play partners who will just let you know up front, like, hey, I like degradation. I've got degradation kink, you know, and here are my boundaries. Like, I don't like having these words said to me, but these are perfectly fine or whatever. Okay. But from my experience, I think that a fair amount of women very much do enjoy degradation on a certain level. Okay. Now, I'm not talking that, say, every woman likes to lick your boots clean. Okay. That's going to be a very special, particular type of woman. Okay. But being called a slut in bed, I think that's probably pretty common, pretty darn common. And I don't know. It just, again, it's a feeling. It's a feeling that they're after. And like I said before, remember I said a lot of these things, the main, like the common denominator that this all sort of gets reduced to is feeling smaller. So when you degrade someone, even like out of a sexual context, all right, you just degrade somebody, you're cutting them down. You're making them smaller than you. Okay. And so that's kind of what happens in this context as well. All right, you're just making her feel smaller. And who knows, maybe this ties in with their, you know, deep-seated insecurities or self-hate or something along those lines. And frankly, I think those who have a very high degradation kink, they have learned that this is like a very cathartic way to process these feelings out of them. Okay. To where they're no longer holding on to them. It's almost like when he verbalizes these things or makes her do certain things, it draws all of that negativity out of her and then uses it, and then it disperses out. And now she's more relieved and relaxed. So it like, I know that some people process these things this way. It's the same thing with, like, say, CNC. Okay, CNC is consensual non-consent. Right. So basically it's like we're pretending that this is a forced sexual scene. All right. starting with the R word. The the people who are aware of this, that it's a kink of theirs, they often feel completely relieved afterwards, and a great sense of peace and calm, and like during the recovery of the scene, right, during the aftercare. And so this is a very real thing for many people. Okay, so just if you find that your woman is into something that's degrading, don't make fun of her. Don't go ew, or don't do anything other than show interest and enthusiasm. Okay. And there are tons of different ways to degrade a woman. Okay. Of course, like always in consent and all that stuff, yada, yada. Okay. But there's tons of creative ways in which you can add degradation to your play. And, if you have questions, you want like ideas about like praise, dirty talk, degradation, you can get in touch with me and I can help you out in those regards. Or you can just wait for the book that's coming out. Okay, so moving on. Number 7. All right. Number 7 is an important one. And that is in encouraging her to express herself during and after sex. Okay. So this is gonna tie into one of the bonus ones that I was gonna add. So I'll just blend it in here, which is giving her instructions. All right. So women too, yes, they might be fine with like moans and things like that, and that's pretty normal. Okay. But giving her instruction to express herself, like with words, all right, this can move her as well, because she might feel a certain way, but it has an inability to express it verbally. Okay. And who knows what it is? Like it could be something, it could be anger that needs to be coming out of her. All right. Not at you, but just needs to come out. Okay. Because for the most part, if the sex is good, sex isn't just sex for women. It involves, like for us, like it's just basically our dick. All right. For women, it encompasses their entire being. Like if it's good sex, it can switch on every facet of their being. Okay. And it moves them. So the more you can encourage them to express themselves, okay, it can kind of purge her of certain things, or it, like entice certain things to grow. All right. So in some of my situations, like during heightened arousal, I will instruct her to say positive things about herself. So like moments earlier, she would be hearing that she's, a worthless piece of shit. But then later on, during another wave of arousal, I'm instructing her to say that she's beautiful. Like I'm beautiful. I'm worthy. Things of that nature. Okay. Because these things are in their heads. I'm not beautiful. I'm not worthy. Either in like direct words, or it's a feeling that they carry, right? That I'm not worth it or whatever. So by pushing these things in and making them express themselves in these ways that are affirming, right? Or just whatever they need to express. And if it's your woman, you're going to know what's best, all right? Or what's appropriate for that time. This is incredibly moving for her. Like this is a feeling that she's not used to. Okay. Just think like what other instances in life is she going to be able to do this? Right. And now you're an anchor. You're a conduit for this sort of stuff. It's very, very powerful. What do we got here? Shepherd, is degradation a must for a dom? No, not at all. Not at all. I'm just saying that many women like degradation. All right. In varying degrees. Okay. So it it doesn't have to be hardcore, but I'm just trying to think. Yeah, maybe a couple here and there, like girls that I've been with that did not have, they just were not turned on by degradation. But the majority of them were on a sliding scale of intensity. Okay. But no, as a dom, you don't have to be into degrading. Okay. I'm into it. Not a lot, but I'm into more like other things more. But no, you don't. It's not a must. There's plenty of very kind and respectful daddy doms who would never even think of degrading their little. All right, so so encouraging her to express herself during and after sex. So after is really important as well because she's all opened up. Okay, she's had one or more orgasms. She's she just relaxed. Like tension is gone. Her mind is opened up. She's more vulnerable, and now you can instruct her to express herself during this time. Okay, and this is a very cathartic thing for her as well, because how often is she feeling this vulnerable? How often is she feeling this free? All right, so take advantage of this time. Okay, this is another form of leading her. Okay, let's see here. Number 8. Okay, so this is something that does not happen in the bedroom. All right, well, typically, and this is matching her shit tests / bratting / pride. Okay, so whatever you want to call it, I would say like bratting and shit tests basically fall under pride. All right, so something that's very arousing to a woman is a man that can diffuse her pride, or who can match her pride and basically like take it out, right? So if you imagine like two jiu-jitsu fighters, right? And like one's pretty good, but the other one knows how to counter all the other guy's moves and just like shows him up. Like if you can do this with skill and being relaxed about it, you don't get flustered or whatever, this is very impressive to women. And it's not to do it to impress them, right? Because that's a fool's errand, right? We don't do things to impress women. It's just that's the feeling they get. They get a little bit of like that twinkly eye, like, oh, that's my man. Like he's more clever than I am. Okay. And you don't have to be more clever than her in all aspects, because frankly, women are very clever. And I don't think that men typically can be more clever than women, right? Because that's very much a feminine trait. But it's like in these instances where there's like a called upon battle, so to speak. Okay. And I'm not saying like a real battle, but it's like this instance where she's bringing in that little bit of combative energy, and it's her pride and her ego, and she's a little bit of brattiness, a little bit of shit testing in there, and it's like to test you, like, are you the dude? Because check this out, you can show her that you're the guy when you first meet, okay, but don't go thinking for once that you can show her you're the guy that one time, and she's going to remember that for the entirety of your relationship, right? Because she needs to see that you're not putting on a mask, right? That you didn't just put it on from when you're meeting, and she goes, ooh, wow, look at this great dude. And then, days or weeks or months later, all that kind of falls off. And then she's like, damn, like I'm with a jokester here. I'm with the guy who likes to play dress up. He's not really a man, right? So it's part of women's like defense mechanisms to poke and make sure that she's with the guy. All right. Shout out to Steve the Dean. Like he says, like biting the gold. All right. They used to do that a long time ago, like fool's gold. What's it called? Damn. So fool's gold looks like real gold, but that's not what it's called. It's something pyrite. Right. So pyrite, otherwise known as fool's gold, looks very much like gold, but it's super hard. But if you find like, gold, like, what is it, like 24 karat, it's like super soft. Like you can literally put bite marks into it. And you probably break your tooth though. But anyways. But yeah, it's just testing for authenticity. That's basically all that is. And so she just needs to make sure, that you are authentic. right? But then at the same time, it's like the context of what's happening is during bratting or during shit tests or during her pride kind of, flaring its fucking feathers, it's the time for you to put her in her place, like through wit and charm and perhaps a little bit of force, or putting her into catch 22s. All right. Do some research about catch 22s, or what's known as double binds. Okay. So basically, you can either verbally or physically put someone in a double bind, which is basically they're screwed either way they go. Right. They end up with like only two choices, and they're fucked no matter what they do. Okay. Like an example of like a physical one would be like, I don't know if you've ever seen like an anal hook. All right. But it's like a stainless steel hook. It's like maybe about like 13 inches long, and it's a J shape. It's got like a nice hard J shape. And then on the end is usually like 1 to 3 metal butt plugs, like kind of like molded onto the end. And so that goes in her ass. And then at the end, like the long part, there's like a loop. All right. And then that has, you can tie like rope or ribbon or something like that. And that gets tied, say, like either like onto her hair. All right. Or around her neck or around her mouth. And then you have her on her stomach. So then her body gets bent up like this. So her head gets pulled back, and then by the anal hook that's in her butt. All right. And so what will happen is her neck muscles will get tired, all right, from being pulled back. And she'll want to let her head down because the muscles in the back will get strained from being compressed. And when she pulls her head down, that yanks the butt plug or the hook further up her ass. So then that'll make her go, ooh, and go back into that position. So it's like the double bind is that no matter what she does, she's stuck in this position. Okay. But, it's even more effective to create these things verbally. Okay. To where she's compromised no matter what she says or does, when you set this up verbally. So do some research into double binds, like conversational double binds, flirtation double binds, catch 22s, things of that nature. All right. And you'll be able to understand the structure of them, of how they're put together. And then you'll know how to implement them. And, I don't know, it's kind of fun if you've got a bit of a sadistic nature. Okay. So that's matching her shit tests, her pride, and her bratting. Number 9 here is willing to fight and wrestle. Okay, now I'm not talking about like balling up your fist and smashing her in the jaw. I'm talking, more so around like wrestling. Okay, and this ties in with the manhandling. Okay, like she wants to be able to feel your power, but when it's in a wrestling sense, okay, and again, like there's a lot of women who enjoy this, right? They don't admit it to you, but they want to be able to have the opportunity to fight back, okay? Or to like exert themselves, that they're not just this like pillow princess who's just going to like do whatever you want, right? Because there is that feeling inside her, okay? Remember, like women carry around like a refrigerator of different emotions, okay? And part of them wants a man where she feels that she can release some of these, okay? Not necessarily at him, okay? But with him, or like in him, if that makes sense. If you consider yourself a vessel for her, that's what I mean by in him. And it gives her the sense that like, okay, I can let some of this out, and it's not going to harm anyone, okay? Because trust me, women carry around all kinds of shit that they can't let out because it might hurt somebody's feelings, or it might hurt someone's body, or whatever. They might get put in jail, or I don't know, okay? I'm not sitting here saying that you should be letting your woman like smack you upside the head or beat you or anything like that. That's not what I mean. That's what I mean but what I'm saying is it's the wrestling, okay? Because wrestling is like a very like it's a difficult act, all right? Especially if she's trying to push you around and you're, 170, 180, 190, 200 some odd pounds. Like, that's not going to be easy. So she's going to be exerting some of that aggression that she has inside her. And this is going to be incredibly releasing for her, okay? To be able to wrestle with you, all right? And, if you've got some sense of like collegiate or Greco-Roman or Russian Sambo or Jiu-Jitsu, anything like that, any kind of training like that, this becomes fun for you because it's like you're basically wrestling with like the bratty little kid, who's like trying to get one over on you. And it's just not going to work. But for them, it's incredibly rewarding if they can just like open up like this. Okay. And like release some of that type of energy, because it's not, again, it's in their refrigerator, but it's not often that they get to express this. Okay. So it's very good to be able to wrestle with your woman, all right, to allow her to get some of this out. All right. Some of this, just a little bit of that aggression that they have, because they care. Listen, you guys carry around aggression, right? And you don't always release it, do you? You don't go to the boxing gym and just haul off in the heavy bag every day, right? But you have it. Women have the same thing. Everybody has aggression, but how often are we expressing it? Where does it go? Think about it. Okay. So number 10 here, this is non-physical, but this is, I mentioned it before, but this is like compliments and affirmations during sex. Okay. So like I said before, it's a super, super powerful tool to give compliments and affirmations during sex. Okay. And I'm saying just like really simple stuff, like telling her how sexy her tits are, or how delicious her lips taste, just whatever it is. But being descriptive, all right, being descriptive and giving praise to parts of her body. Okay. Because largely women hate their bodies. They hate them. Even when they look great, they fucking hate their bodies. Now, this isn't every woman. There's many women who have worked on their self-esteem, they've worked on their self-image, and they've developed a very healthy relationship with their body. By and large, women have a terrible relationship with their body, no matter how good they look. Okay? No matter how fit they are. And sometimes the ones that are most fit have the most fucked up relationship with their bodies. Okay? So just understand that there's always, well, almost always going to be some level of a bad relationship with their bodies and their self-image. Okay. So to have her in this state, just imagine she's in the state, she's sexually aroused, she's physically opened up. Okay. Her legs are spread wide. Maybe her hands are tied up above her head. She's, got a gag in her mouth. She's blindfolded. She's got noise canceling. Well, no, not noise canceling earphones because she won't be able to hear you. But you should get a pair of those. Get yourself a pair of noise canceling headphones, and like ones for like a construction site, jackhammer guys. Fantastic toy. But anyways, so say she's like put in very like vulnerable creating position. Okay. And then on top of it, she's emotionally vulnerable in this state because she is completely exposed. And so now she's just open in all levels. And all the while, you're increasing her arousal like crazy. Now at this point, instead of something degrading, you're telling her how beautiful she is, how fucking delicious her body is, how much you can't wait to fuck the shit out of her. How good her body feels in your hands. Just like any sort of compliment about her body, right? You love how she smells. You love how her hair smells or her skin or what have you. You don't have to be super poetic about it either. Keep it simple, okay? It's like your eyes are like deep blue oceans and the waves crashing. No. Like you don't have to get poetic with it. Just be direct, all right? Be direct and simple with these things. And the reason why this is powerful is because she's in that widely open state where these get just slammed in, okay? Now, of course, this is probably best for someone who's your woman, okay, your girlfriend's long-term relationship or marriage. Sure, if you want to use this during some like early sexual thing, she might think it weird because she doesn't have full trust in you. She might not have full emotional vulnerability to you. But either way, I don't think you can go wrong with that. Like, what woman doesn't want to hear that they're beautiful or that they're sexy or something along those lines? Especially in that moment where she's completely wide open. She's not hidden by her makeup anymore. That shit is fucked. Her hair or her clothes or the environment. She's completely exposed. So no matter the situation, it's like by laying compliments during those times, it's going to be very, very powerful. Okay. And so you may be thinking like, well, why would I want any of these bitches to feel this way? Right? Why did I give a shit about any of this stuff? And it's like, well, because the greater she feels through you, it's like a bifurcated situation here. Okay. The greater she feels, the better sex the two of you are going to have. Because the more relaxed a woman is, the more expressive she can be. Okay? And you've all had like dead starfish sex before. Okay? It's awful. So the more relaxed, the more expressive she can be, the better sex you have, the better sex she has. Okay? So that's one prong. The other prong is when these sort of connections happen, you become an anchor, you become a conduit. Okay. Because not only say afterwards that, maybe say, let's hope you've had a great sexual session. All right. Afterwards, she's going to be thinking there's going to be, what do they call that? Awake, right? Or ripples in the form of memory of how she was feeling based on the things that you were saying. And so then now there's this association with, I feel great when I'm listening to this guy. When I hear his voice saying certain things, I feel better about myself. And so now this becomes a draw. Okay? Influence. This is part of leading. Okay? So don't be reluctant with your compliments. Okay? Now, of course, it's best in sex. Like, it doesn't, see, this is why, like, people will say, like, other coaches and myself will say, like, it doesn't make sense to give a woman a compliment on how she looks, like, outside of this, because she's guarded. She's got her social gear on. Okay. It's not going to make any sort of effect. She's like, oh, thank you. Like, it doesn't penetrate at all. So it's sort of like wasted efforts. Okay. You're just like shooting an arrow at a stone wall. It just bounces off. It's like, yeah, or whatever. Okay. If you are going to give a compliment, say like out and about, okay, you're meeting a woman for the first time, or you're out on a first date or whatever, give her a unique compliment, all right, that's specific to her, right? So like, let's say you tell a joke and she laughs and she like scrunches her nose, and you say, I got to tell you, I love the way you scrunch your nose when you smile. She's going to like that a lot more than you telling her how beautiful her hair is, okay? Like, she's heard how beautiful her hair is a million times, okay? But if you notice like a little quirk or something you find cute or unique or a little unusual, and then you say that you love that about her or you really like that about her, that's going to make a greater impact than just telling her like, how pretty her dress is. Like, she doesn't give a shit about that stuff, okay? But the simple, pretty stuff, this is funny. The simple, pretty stuff that people normally say out in the street or on dates actually has a huge impact in bed during high states of arousal. It's weird how it works that way. Okay. Conversely, if you were to say, I love how your nose scrunches when you smile during sex, that would be really weird. Okay. So keep that in mind. All right. Flip these things around. And then, so that was number 10, but I'll throw in a bonus one here, and this is edging. Okay. Edging is an art form. What's up, Maris K? Good to see you, man. Edging is an art form. All right. And this has to do with being sensitive to tension. All right. And it's just something you have to learn to develop as a feeling. Okay. It's like, like when Luke was learning the Force and like Yoda was like, reach out with your feelings, right? Like you have to like reach out with your feelings and so that you can pick up on tension. All right. Once you can feel tension, you can then learn to manipulate tension. Okay. So become aware of it first, and then you can learn to mold it to where you want it to be. All right. And that's basically what edging is. Edging is the tension around anticipation. Okay. So like usually like in a sexual context. So edging can be done during conversation. That's when it's, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's most fun there, but yeah, it's all fun. It's all fun. But edging in conversation is when you can utilize innuendo, all right? And, or you can just bring it into like actual things that you want to do to her, okay? And, whispering her in her ear, you're at a bar or something like that, you're having a great date or something along those lines. So it can be overt, or it can be more covert with insinuations, or with your body language, all right? So like creating, like, let's say you've never touched each other yet, okay? And you're sitting next to each other and you make a motion and you bring your hands down, but it's right next to hers, okay? And you can tell just by like the look that there's sexual tension building between the two of you. And instead of touching her, all right, because guys talk about like, oh, you got to build Kino, right? I don't know why they gave it the name Kino. Why? Okay. But anti-Kino is just as strong as Kino, if not more powerful. Okay. Where it's like, you're getting the sensation that, woman, I want to touch you. And I know you want me to touch you. And I'm going to touch you, but I'm not. I'm right next to that edge. Okay. Like this sort of thing will cause her high levels of sexual tension. That'll be edging her. Okay. So this can be done in like out of the bedroom just as easily as it does as it is in the bedroom. Okay. In the bedroom, edging, it looks like exploring her body, but purposely avoiding erogenous zones. Okay. Purposely avoiding her neck, her ears, her nipples, her pussy, like all the most sensitive areas. You avoid them on purpose, or like you work your way towards them, right? You're working your way like towards her nipples, right? With your mouth or your fingers or a toy, and you get very close and then you veer off course again. Okay. And you keep coming back and then veering off course, especially if you know, like just for instance, let's say you know that she's, say, got like a breast kink, okay, where she's got highly sensitive breasts, all right? So now you know this about her, and you can use this to your advantage and tease her and torture her like this, okay? So you're bringing her towards that edge. You say, no, I'm going to back off. I'm coming back. No, I'm going to back off, okay? You can do this while you're going down on her, all right? Now, this takes a little bit more skill, all right, by reading her arousal, okay? So it takes some practice. I mean, unless you're like just a very like sensitive person, you can just read people well, but you bring them close to orgasm as possible without tipping over the edge. And you bring them right to that precipice, and then you back off about 4 steps. And then you hover there, and then you bring her back up to that precipice, and then you fall back 4 steps again. Okay. And you do this however many times you want. And this can actually bring out another feeling on top of that, which is frustration, I think is the word. All right. So this will increase her frustration and maybe a little bit of anxiety, impatience, right? Where she's now getting annoyed on top of her arousal. Okay. And trust and believe by, I don't know, however many times, let's say it's like the 6th time, number 6, boom, you give it to her. Okay. Then that orgasm is going to be so fucking powerful. She's going to be bouncing all over the bed. Like her hips are going to be bucking like crazy. All right. And this is what happens with edging. Okay, both physically, like say orgasmically, but it also works with her mind. It also works with her emotions. Okay, where you can. So this is part of the teasing. It's part of the making small. It's part of the power play. It's part of the encouraging her. It's part of matching her shit, testing her pride. Like it all has to do with this. I'm in control here. I'm the one pulling the levers. Okay. That's what this whole thing is about. All right. This is why I tell you guys, right? And thank you for listening to the list. This is why I tell you guys not to be driven by pleasure. Because if you're driven by fulfilling your own pleasure, are you able to achieve any of this? No. Because you're just going to go in, you're going to last about 15 minutes, you're going to lie to all your friends that you fucked for 2 hours, and then you're going to be out. Okay? Like that's what it is. And then you think, oh, I've got crazy stroke game because she moaned a couple times. No. Okay? First of all, most women don't have orgasms from penetrative sex. I'll say that again. Most women don't orgasm from being penetrated. So forget what you see on porn. That's acting. That is acting. And don't say you can tell. All right? Women fake shit. Women are great actresses. All right? They don't want to hurt your feelings. They know men have soft egos. Women don't have orgasm typically. Okay? What increases the chances of a woman having an orgasm through penetrative sex, okay, and this is no guarantee, but it just increases the chances, is a strong emotional bond with you. All right? And then all you guys, well, pair bonding could be pair bonding. You guys don't know shit about pair bonding. It's an absolute real thing, no matter how much sex she's had, okay? Because most sex that she's had is bullshit, okay? So a guy who she comes across, pardon me, excuse me, but the guy she comes across who can fuck her mind and fuck her feelings and fuck her body really well, no doubt she's going to be pair bonded with that guy. Okay? But understand, it doesn't come from stroking. Okay? Just on a technical basis here, what feels best to women in terms of like penetrative sex is actually grinding. Okay? So you're inside her and you're moving your pelvis in such a way that it's stimulating her clit, and your dick is just kind of like rocking inside of her instead of sliding in and out. Okay. Now, of course, there's going to be a period within the arousal cycle when it's like very high, and you can tell when it's very high because she loosens up like crazy. Okay. Like her intervaginal walls open up tremendously. And I don't care how thick your cock is, like, unless you're mandingo, you feel that she's loosened up. Okay. And it's just part of the arousal process. She gets much wetter and things just open up. But it's at this point where she's going to be like, fuck me, right? She like looks up at you and like grabs you and starts like pulling you harder into her body. Okay. That's the time for stroking because she wants to feel that raw, number one here on the list, your raw lust. Okay. She wants to feel your power. All right. She wants to reach up and feel your arms like pinned down onto the bed and thinking, this man is taking me. He wants to devour me like a beast. Okay? That's when they want to feel the stroke. All right? But for the most part, like other times, like during the arousal cycle, it's that rocking. Okay? That will give her far more pleasure than you just stroking your dick for 15 minutes. Okay? But try it out, experiment. You know, if you got a regular, all right, girlfriend, wife, or just regular chick you fuck, test it out. Okay, test out the rocking versus the stroking. But yeah, that's 10 things there, with a bonus of edging. I hope that was helpful for you. I'm not going to go on very long. Well, actually, it's already been an hour. Because I'm still under the weather. You can hear it in my nose, and I don't want to go sniffling into the mic because that's just bad for business. So I appreciate you guys coming through. I'm going to relax and jump onto Netflix again, drink my tea. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on the flip side, hopefully when my health is back in order once again. All right, take it easy, everybody.